Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And a lot of you have heard that Diddy is going to buy BET. You've heard Tyler Perry is part of the bidding war, that all these Black men are lining up to buy this big, important network that is owned by Paramount. Well, let me just tell you, none of that is true. It's just been released that that sale is not going to happen. Paramount decided for some strange reason that they no longer wanted to sell that property. I'm going to break this down for you, give you the details on what's going on, and explain why some people feel like something shady was going on. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
I'm the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. As you come in, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, let me know if you can hear me okay. Let's do a quick audio check. Give me a quick yes if you can hear me. I want to make sure that I'm coming through all right, and then we can get started on today's program. So as I see your names in here, also shout out the city that you're from, and I will shout your city back if I see it. I see Tara Redmond, Allegra, Rachel Hall. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. It's so good that you guys are here today. And let's see who else. Barbara Love put yes in the chat, so you can hear me all right. Okay, Eric Byam, good to see you. And by the way, speaking of here, you guys may or may not know, but this podcast is on Spotify. So if you like intelligent Black conversation, that's what we do. We don't enjoy ignorance. We want to be smarter. We want our people to actually succeed. Then go ahead and follow us on Spotify. Look me up on Spotify. You can find me there. Also, I have a Black Investors Telegram channel that you can find at drboycetelegram.com, and you can check that out. Okay, so David's out of Philadelphia. Toxic is out of ATL. Good to see you. All right, so I see Richmond, Virginia, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Oh, Milwaukee. I'll be in Milwaukee next week for there's a hip hop week in Milwaukee. And if you follow me on Instagram, you can get the information there. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. Dr. Boyce Finance is my Instagram. I switched that over recently. All right. So anyway, give me a yes or no. How many of you heard about the fact that that Tyler Perry and Diddy and 50 Cent and Shaquille O'Neal and Black Jesus and everybody else were all lined up to buy BET from Paramount? Did anybody else hear about that? Where a bunch of Black men were lining up to try to take ownership of this company, make it Black owned again. BET has not been Black owned for a very long time. BET has historically for a very long time been owned by Paramount, particularly controlled by the Sumner Redstone family. And this family is not a Black family, of course. And Black people have been the number one consumers of the content on BET, right? Which is a very dangerous combination, right? We know how dangerous it is to have other people control your culture, right? It's very dangerous. The Sumner Redstone family, they would never allow you to own a network that controls culture in their community. They just would not allow you to do that. Well, anyway, but you know, for Black people, the rules kind of change, and effectively, this family that controls a big chunk of Paramount, and I got to look up the details of exactly what they own and how much wealth they have and all these other things. But basically, they have for a very long time had a really supersized influence on Black culture. They've been able to pretty much say, you know, we can get Black people to think whatever we want them to think, to do whatever we want them to do, to buy whatever we want them to buy. And I've mentioned to you all that that's just such a deadly, dangerous combination. Well, a group of Black men had gotten together. Apparently, Paramount made the announcement. Paramount, a company that's been having some significant financial problems, they made an announcement that that BET was going to be up for sale. And at that point, a bidding war ensued. You saw Tyler Perry stepping up. He said, "I've worn the Medea dress for 15 years, and me and Medea are ready to go buy BET, praise the Lord, hallelujah. So he was gonna, him and Medea were gonna buy Tyler Perry, Tyler Perry and Medea were gonna buy BET together. Diddy, who apparently he has not made any good music since Biggie was alive. However, he sold a lot of vodka. So, because people like to drink, so basically, Diddy was one of the other bidders, and Byron Allen, he's a great guy. He has a melanin deficient wife, but we're not going to hold that against him. And he also owns the Griot, and he's made a lot of interesting acquisitions. So BET was going to be one of them. Some other significant names mentioned were Kenya Barris, who writes on the show Blackish. And there's a lot of Blackish type shows. I think another one's Black AF, which kind of concerned me a little bit because it kind of made everything black, kind of the ratchet stuff. A lot of us think that blackness is ratchetness, which is one of the big problems with BET in the first place, is that BET unfortunately promotes so many things that are just unhealthy in the community. It's just so sad. And then another name that came up was Shaquille O'Neal, who made his money playing basketball, and the rapper 50 Cent, who's been, the rapper 50 Cent, who spun that into entertainment. So basically, entertainment has been kind of the pathway for the black man. That literally America pretty much has space for black men in 2 or 3 categories. There are 2 or 3 categories where black men are allowed to make significant amounts of money. And that is if you're entertaining white folks as an athlete, entertaining white folks as a rapper, entertaining white folks as a comedian, etc. Right? If you entertain white folks, then you're going to do well as a black man. So to some extent, even these symbols of black success are unfortunately stuck in these entertainment-based stereotypes, right? So when the black man shows up as an engineer, or he shows up as as the doctor or whatever, it's a little bit tougher to break in, even though there are some exceptions. I think attorney Ben Crump has done pretty well, but even Ben Crump has kind of jumped into that civil rights space. Someone gets shot by the cops, we go sue the police department and get a settlement, but it works for him. There's nothing wrong with that per se. He could be doing worse things. Now, with that being said, Paramount was offering to sell BET. Now, Paramount is a company that I followed. I would not invest in Paramount. I used to consider investing in Paramount. I don't consider Paramount to be a good stock because if I were to show you a chart of Paramount stock, you'd probably want to vomit. Paramount stock has absolutely been horrible the last few years. Paramount's investors, they've been the board and the CEO and everybody, they've been crapping on the investors for a long time. And maybe I'm wrong, though. Let me make sure that I don't speak too soon, because I want to just sort of give them a chance and take a look to make sure the stock is just as crappy as I thought it was going to be. And yes, the Paramount, the company that owns BET, the company that controls black culture to some extent, that does ads like, this is the culture, which I hate. I hate when white people are telling me what my culture is supposed to be. I mean, you're a white supremacist. You've been giving black people horrible culture for 400 years. Why am I going to let you tell me what my culture is going to be? But anyway, that's just me ranting. I hope it's okay if I rant a little bit because I think it's a righteous rant. Anyway, you look at Paramount stock, you will see that Paramount stock is absolute dog crap. In this year, in a year where many stocks have shot through the roof, where you have companies like Nvidia damn near double and triple and all this other stuff. I don't know if they doubled or tripled. I can't remember exactly, but I know I made a ton of money on Nvidia. Netflix has done extremely well. Lots of companies have done well. Microsoft, Facebook, a lot of companies have. In that year where all these companies are doing really well, look at Paramount. Paramount has just been crap, absolute crap. Last 6 months, 37% decline. Year to date, 13%. Over the past year, 43.9% decline. Last 5 years, 72% decline. So here's what I want you to kind of realize, right? This is important for black folks to understand that black people, we're not the only ones who run crappy businesses. Right. I know, when you see a black owned business that's going in the toilet and not doing well, you go berserk and ballistic. And there's some people who say that Negro shouldn't be in business. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. I call those people the Negro naysayers. The Negro naysayers are the people who find a problem for every solution. Well, black people aren't the only ones who do bad business, who make mistakes. Look at Paramount. This is a big old company that controls black culture. And their stock, literally, if you invested in Paramount 5 years ago, you lost 72% of your money. 70. Y'all see that? Do y'all see that? Give me a yes if you see this up here. How many of y'all see this? Does anybody else see this? If you invested in Paramount in the last 5 years, they have literally pissed out your money worse than any rapper could ever throw away money in a stripper thong. Like literally, they literally are a dog crap stock. And this is part of the reason why this company was trying to consider selling BET. I'm not an expert on Paramount, but I did do a little bit of research on this company. I looked into this company to figure out, why are you such a dog crap stock? What's going on? You're making billions of dollars. You got all this influence, all this access to capital. Banks are loaning you all this money. Why are you such dog crap and doing such horrible business? Right? Well, basically, one of the things about Paramount that's really fascinating is they have a really great talent at wasting money. They're really good at throwing money down the toilet. And this comes from the fact that they have so much money available. This is if y'all want to know if this triggers me and pisses me off, do I sound a little pissed? What do y'all, do I sound, I'm trying to be calm and rational. I mean, do I sound a little mad today? I'm a little pissed. You know why I'm pissed? Let me tell you why I'm pissed. I'm pissed because these white companies can go borrow $10 billion from the bank and piss out half of that money, and black owned businesses can't even go get 100K. Small black businesses doing good things. I see some of y'all in the Black Business School. We have millions of students out here that have started businesses, done all kinds of great stuff. Profitable. You're taking money, you're flipping it. You turn 50K into a 100K a year business. You're doing all these amazing things, these financial magic tricks that are significantly underfunded because you're not, 6'8", 240 pounds playing for the Boston Celtics or the Dallas Mavericks. You're not busting raps for a living. You're not telling jokes for a living. You're just regular hardworking people who are raising your families and kicking ass and taking names and making $1 out of 15 cents. And you can't get any capital for your business. Yet this other company, the Redstone family, can literally go borrow $10 billion and piss it out like it's raining. Like literally take the money and throw it straight in the garbage can and then go back and get some more. That's the racism, black people. In case you want to know, y'all know me. I get when an idea or a thought pops in my head, God gives it to me. I'm gonna go in that tangent, and I can't apologize for it. Sometimes it sounds like I'm rambling a little bit. If it sounds that way, then that's okay. You can go. But I'm going in this direction because I need y'all to see the racism on the wall. The biggest kind of racism in this country, the most prevalent type of racism in this country, is economic racism. Yeah, I know they got you caught up in police brutality, which is important. I know they got you caught up in whether or not the white person at the grocery store wouldn't say hi to you this morning. Yeah, whatever. If that hurt your feelings, I'm sorry for that. But the real racism in America is economic racism. I know they got you mad at Donald Trump and the Republicans, like that's going to solve all your problems. No, the real problem is that your businesses can't get capital. They'll hire you for a job to work for their businesses, but will never give you the capital to start your own. You can go to college, a white man's college, and get a $250,000 loan at the age of 18 to go deep in debt for the rest of your life, but they won't loan that same 18-year-old kid $30,000 to get his business off the ground so he can build something for himself. Though they'll go and they'll get you to vote for the same Democratic Party every single election so they can go overfund a school that's poorly educating black children, but they won't give righteous black teachers and intelligent black people the money to build our own schools. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Do you even get? I mean, I need some confirmation here, because sometimes I'm screaming from the rooftops and I feel like I'm on the wrong planet. I feel like nobody gets what I'm saying. Does anybody get what I'm saying here? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Do you get the words that are coming out of my mouth? So the Sumner Redstone family that runs Paramount, which I just showed you, it's a dog crap stock. It's absolutely horrible. Their company's market cap is about $10 billion. $10 billion. So even white people that run sub-mediocre businesses can have a market cap of $10 billion. I bet you if you took if you took 100,000 black-owned businesses and added their market cap up together, it wouldn't come out to $10 billion. So they get to run this $10 billion behemoth that is controlling black culture because they have access to capital and bank financing and you don't. They can bleed money like it's going out of style and nobody checks them on that nonsense. Paramount Plus. Anybody heard of Paramount Plus? Does anybody subscribe to Paramount Plus? Their streaming service. I gotta calm myself down because I get flustered because this shit pisses me off. I'm sorry. Anybody know about Paramount Plus? And I don't mean to cuss. I'm not gonna cuss today. I'm sorry. I'm lying too. I'm probably gonna cuss again. So Paramount Plus is not bad. Me and my wife watch it. They have good shows. They have the show called Yellowstone, and then they have other spinoff shows beyond Yellowstone. And there's a white boy named Taylor or something who makes $1 trillion writing all these shows, and he's good. Paramount Plus increased the subscriber base by like over a million people or something because they had such good shows. In that same quarter where they increased their subscriber base significantly, did you know that Paramount lost? They had a net loss of $1 billion in one quarter. Did y'all know that? They lost $1 billion in one quarter. And so basically, Paramount is just a really crappy company. Let me see, how much debt does Paramount have? Let me see here. Paramount has um $17 billion in debt on its balance sheet. $17 billion. Can you imagine? Like, imagine this. Imagine if because I know I can do better business than Paramount. Because if we were that bad, we'd have been out of business a long time ago. Can you imagine how different the world would look? Imagine if Dr. Boyce Watkins, I mean, talk about myself in the third person. I don't want to sound arrogant, but that's what I'm going to do for a moment. Can you imagine if Dr. Boyce Watkins could go to the bank and get $17 billion in capital to help the Black community? Can you imagine what we could do? Can you imagine how many thousands of jobs we could create? How many schools, systems, not schools, I don't care about one school. One school doesn't mean anything. Systems. We need systems. 500 schools all across the country. Because racism is systematic, in case you don't know. So you need systematic solutions. Can you imagine how many businesses we could fund? Can you imagine how much land we could buy if we could borrow $17 billion? So this company, this is the racism, y'all. This is what you need to look at when they start talking about reparations and all this other stuff. You need to think big. Look at the bigger picture. Go to downtown Chicago, downtown Seattle, any of these cities, and say how many of these $100 million buildings are owned by Black people? How many of these buildings, thousands of them, are owned by white people? How come none of them are owned by Black people? We should have 10% of these buildings. So let's get back to it. So we're talking about Paramount and this bidding war that ensued, where basically a group of Black men were trying to buy BET, and I wasn't opposed to it, and at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't get as enamored with celebrities as some other people do. Studies show that Black people actually really listen to celebrities more than anybody else, and I really honestly think that that's a cultural flaw, because celebrities, some of them are just stupid. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. They're just famous because they know how to impress white people by rapping and playing basketball, but they're not the smartest and the best among you. The best and brightest among you are people in this audience. Some of y'all in there have master's degrees, doctorates, stuff like that. And the people that I do respect, celebrities like Ice Cube, who's come on this platform. I respect Ice Cube because Ice Cube understands what he's good at and what he's not as good at. Right? He understands that being a great rapper does not make you a scientist. He understands that in order for him to truly have the impact that he wants on the Black community, he has to collaborate with smart people that are going to help him do the best job possible. And that's what leads me to have eternal respect for him. So the thing about the celebrity culture, and where you have to be really careful, is that the celebrity culture is not really going to save Black people. Black people are not going to be elevated by some celebrity who raps about how much money he spent on liquor bottles, or it's not going to be elevated by a really wonderful, very polite guy who wears a dress for a living. Tyler Perry. I like Tyler. Tyler called me one time. I told you all that, and he was very nice to me, so I have nothing against him. But if you take that Medea dress away from him, Tyler Perry's net worth drops by about 90%. And so ultimately, even BET being owned by Black people would probably have not had the impact that you think that it would have, right? Don't get me wrong. Diddy owning BET would be an improvement because Diddy is a guy who has some finger on the pulse of Black culture. But unfortunately, Diddy has also been the guy who is deeply in bed with the Democratic Party. Diddy's also the guy who is sort of in a space where he has to make money, sometimes by any means necessary. Diddy's also the guy who is inspired enough to get on the phone with Dr. Claude Anderson, which I applaud him for that. I really respect that. But from what I understand, there was no sort of significant financial support forthcoming for the Powernomics agenda. I have put more money into the pocket of Dr. Claude Anderson myself than Diddy did. That's what Dr. Anderson himself has told me. So we, you, us, and I say us because those of you who support me, if you want to know what happens with a big chunk of that money, well, several $100,000 went toward the Powernomics Institute. And in fact, let me put Dr. Anderson's website on here because I think everybody should buy a copy of Powernomics, right? So if I meet little old me, who has never rapped with Biggie, who does not know, who's never been at the Oscars or the Grammys, who has never been in Hollywood making Hollywood movies, if little old me can outdo Diddy when it comes to supporting things like Powernomics or what Dr. Claude Anderson's doing, then I think that really speaks to the fact that unfortunately many of your celebrities are only tangentially connected to the true plight and the true challenge of the Black community, right? So even though I'm not happy that Paramount reneged on the deal, I don't know why Paramount pulled back. I have no idea why they pretended like BET was on sale and then they just reversed the sale. Like this is what was there. There's a whole bunch of articles out there about it. You can go look it up. People are going to talk about it and give you those details. But I don't know why they did this, right? And there are people that are speculating that perhaps Paramount was just kind of playing a game. There are people that speculate that Paramount was just sort of giving Black folks the impression that BET was going to become Black owned when really they had no intention of having BET become Black owned in the first place. Now, here's the thing. There's no evidence of that, though. There's no evidence to say that they were playing games, but y'all know that people do play games because if you remember, anybody remember when Jay-Z was supposed to be the owner of the Brooklyn Nets? Anybody remember that? And they even put him on a billboard as if he was going to be the owner of the team. And this, in my view, I believe that was a deliberate plot. It was a deliberate plot to get Black people to rally behind the purchase of the Brooklyn Nets. And from what I understand now, I don't know who the owners of the Brooklyn Nets are. Let me see here. Who owns? Google's great, right? Hit the thumbs up button while this. I'm gonna Google who owns the Brooklyn Nets. If you hit the thumbs up button, if you can, and by the way, if you want to learn about wealth and get started in the Black Business School, you can go to blackmoney101.com. Get a 95% discount for your family. Feel free to take a look at that. All right, so let me see who owns the Brooklyn Nets. Let's see here. The Brooklyn Nets are owned by a guy named Joe Tsai. He's a billionaire. Okay, he made his fortune in China. Now, I think that Joe Tsai bought the Brooklyn Nets from another group that was from Russia, right? But Jay-Z, I don't think is listed under any of the ownership structure of the Brooklyn Nets. And that's interesting because if I recall, and I remember having a long conversation with Cornell West about this because he was very upset about it. They put Jay-Z on a billboard as if he was going to be one of the big owners, like as if this was going to be a Black owned entity. And so let me see if I can find here we go. Let's see. Here is one of the billboards. I'm just going to show you all I'm going to share my screen so you can kind of see it. But yeah, so a lot of people were upset about this. They felt that they were playing a game. They felt that they were sort of basically getting the community to buy into the idea of Jay-Z buying the Brooklyn Nets so that people would get behind the purchase of the Brooklyn Nets. So you can kind of see that on the screen a little bit. Let me hit a button so I can kind of share that and you can see it. So you see here that and I wish I could make it bigger, but you see that right there. You can kind of see that on the side, and these are some different images of Jay-Z on those billboards, right? So later on, though, you saw another headline, and the next headline you saw was that Jay-Z was selling his stake in the Brooklyn Nets, and his stake was sold, if I'm not mistaken, shortly after the deal went through. And let me see here. I'm going to read a news story on this to make sure I get this right because I don't want to disparage the name of Jay-Z in any sort of negative way because I don't have anything against Jay-Z, but I did find that to be kind of disturbing. This it says Jay-Z announced Friday that he'll be selling his stake was 0.015%. 0.015%. Now I want to ask you all, if someone is gonna have 0.015% of a team, would you think that it makes sense to put them on the billboard as if they are, the majority owner? Like, would that make sense? Or is this something that is symbolic? Is this something where they're taking advantage of the fact that a lot of people are not necessarily economically literate enough to know the difference between 0.015% ownership versus actual ownership of the team? And so with Jay-Z, you this is what I saw, and I felt and I wondered if something similar was happening here with Paramount and, possibly being owned by, Tyler Perry or whoever was supposed to buy BET. I don't know if they ever plan to sell that stake in the first place. I've almost never seen a company put something up for sale like that and then have an announcement that the sale went through and then have this sudden retraction to say, oh, we was just playing. We were just joking. We weren't really going to sell it in the first place. We changed our mind. And so Paramount, they're also in this precarious position where they're bleeding money, they're losing money like crazy. A lot of the reason they're losing money is because they overspend on a lot of their shows. Taylor Sheridan, a writer who writes for Paramount, they literally give this guy a blank check, and he goes in and he overspends on everything. And so as a result, Paramount Plus is getting more subscribers, but they're having the same problem that Disney was having, where they're overspending on their content. And so with the writer strike kind of happening, I think a lot of these companies are going to scale back on what they spend, and they're going to find some other way to fix their balance sheet. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. I have a new book out. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's a basic guide for any family that wants to build generational wealth that's going to last for 200 years. If that's of interest to you, then feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. You can get a 30% discount on everything in the store by using the code book club, all one word. Use the code word book club. We also have financial workbooks for children for every single grade band, and a lot of tools that you can use to enhance wealth for your family. I'm a PhD in finance. That's what I do. That's my background. And my goal is to help as many people as I can and to talk to you guys every single day. I do money in the mornings on almost every single day of the week. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to look at some of your questions here. Let's see. Now, Jet Engine is asking an interesting and horrifically redundant question. Why don't you talk about how Jay Morrison fraudulently stole money from Black investors? Well, first of all, I think that when you make an accusation against a Black person like that, I think that you have to be really careful and make sure you have proof. If he was stealing people's money, he'd be in jail right now. Also, I encourage you to not just believe what people on the internet have to say. The Tulsa Real Estate Fund, actually, they're making a massive land acquisition and building something pretty extraordinary. So I don't know their business. I don't know everything that they're doing, but I encourage everybody, if you want to know what's going on with that Tulsa Fund, go to their Instagram page because they have a lot of full information there. So don't just listen to one side of the story. Make sure you go check out what they got going on, especially if you're an investor. I supported the fund because I love to support Black businesses. And one of the things I want to warn everybody about is that 86% of Black-owned businesses fail. And a lot of times they fail because they don't get the capital they deserve from white folks. White people don't buy from Black businesses. And then also when a Black business is trying to do something different, if they stumble, there's usually somebody sitting there saying, I hope that you continue to fall. I hope that you fail. Die, Negro, die. And unfortunately, that becomes from your own people. So what I encourage you to do is, rather than just being mad or rather than criticizing, go see if you can help out. Go see what they really got going on. Go get the facts. Go look at their website. Go look and see what their official release of information is. And then again, if there's something that's disturbing you, either don't support the business, or you can call the authorities, or you can take it to court. But don't just get on the court of Instagram and think that that's going to be the same as actually handling it in a mature way. All right. So anyway, next question is, let's see. I watch Paramount Plus. Hey, Dr. Watkins and everybody, says Diana. I believe, no, we can handle our own business. My question is, why do we have to buy BET? We can own our own channel, station, and company. I agree. I don't think, Diana, and that's a great point. I don't think the ownership of BET is that big of a deal, to be honest with you. I don't look at it like, oh, Lord Jesus, hallelujah. These people is free again. Because here's the thing. Let me just tell you something about. This is where I get in trouble because I got to be honest about stuff. I like Tyler Perry a lot. I mean, when I say I like Tyler Perry, I mean, well, not like that. But I mean, I like Tyler Perry as a person. I do. When I talked to him, he was very, very friendly. I reached out to him in 2014 and said, hey, I'd like to do a tour of your studio. He arranged for his number two in command to give me a 2.5-hour tour. Me and Madam President. Madam President's my goddaughter, and she was there. And we toured that whole facility, and I was so impressed and inspired by everything I saw. So when I say I like Tyler Perry, I mean I like him. From the personal interactions we've had. But one of the limitations that Tyler has to face is that there's not a lot of evidence that he's really elevating other people to be, what he has become. I haven't seen a lot of, like, when I saw that picture. Did anybody ever see that picture of Tyler Perry in the writing room, where he took a picture of himself in the writing room and there was nobody else in there but him? Anybody remember that? Yeah, let me see if I can find it. It was deep. It was really like, whoa, okay. Let me see if I can find it. Google has everything. So let me see. Yeah, he took a picture and he put it up on Instagram, and he said it was something like, "Here I am in the writer's room," or something like that. And in that room, there was nobody else in there. So I'm sitting there thinking, wow, like you can make a whole show with 9 black female characters, and you're gonna play every single woman in the show. I mean that's kind of like, isn't it kind of funny like how you have these people that say like womanhood is not real. It's like in your mind, like you can, if you just decide you want to be a woman, then you get to become just as much of a woman as like someone who actually has a vagina. I find that to be just odd. I'm sorry. I saw another lady who was joking. She said she's trans financial. She said, I'm a rich girl in a broke girl's body. And she said, and it is so hard. Right? And I think about this, right? That we live in this world where people think they can just be whatever they want to be. So Tyler Perry, rather than hiring black women, no, I mean, I love you, Tyler. I really do. So if Tyler sees this, I don't want him to think I'm hating. I'm not hating. I had to just be honest, right? And if he ever wanted to explain himself or talk to me about it privately or publicly, there's nobody I'll ever talk about here where I wouldn't have a private or public conversation about, or to them, not about them. If I talk about you, I'll talk to you. And so Tyler Perry, he took this picture, this writer's room picture. Let me see if I can show you this picture. And I'm putting it on the screen. Um, and he literally was like, yeah, I'm in the writer's room, but there was nobody else in the room except for him. And that kind of unfortunately speaks to, we all have our flaws, we all have our weaknesses, we all have the things that we can work on. And so it speaks to this idea that perhaps Tyler Perry has a little bit of diva in him, that there's like a attention seeking sort of dimension that maybe he has to work out with his therapist. Ain't no wrong with having a therapist. I'm meeting with my therapist this afternoon. So shit, I love a good black therapist. And yeah, so he has this picture of his writer's room, and you see there's nobody else in the room except for him. And people kind of challenged him on that, and they said, okay, we know you're doing well. We know you and Medea are super rich. We know that you are among the elite economically. But what people are asking is like, what about us? What about the masses? What about, and here's the thing though, but one thing I'm going to tell you though is that Tyler Perry Studios does employ a lot of people. He creates lots of jobs, and I think that that shouldn't be taken away from him at all. When I talked to him on the phone, I remember the day before he was on the cover of a magazine as the highest paid person in Hollywood. And I didn't know he was going to call me. I don't call celebrities; they just pop up sometimes. And like Kanye West, I did not call Kanye. Kanye just called me during the All Black National Convention when I talked to Ice Cube. Somebody texted and said, "Oh, Ice Cube wants to talk to you." And Russell Simmons, like like when these people reach out, I don't know what they're looking for exactly, but I just try to be as helpful as I can. And when we talked, it was the day after he was on the cover of a magazine for being the highest paid person in all of Hollywood. And I said, how does that feel, man? Like to be on the cover of the magazine as the highest paid person in Hollywood. And he said, I hate it. He said, nobody wants their salary posted for everybody to see. And he said, because people don't see, and this is important to understand if you're trying to be a business owner, people just see the bottom line. They see how much money you made, but they don't see how much money you got to spend to maintain what you built. They don't see, he said that people don't see how I paid Alan Payne X millions of dollars and how I paid this person millions of dollars. Right. And I said, yes, I get it, brother. I understand completely what you're talking about. Right. You might have to you don't have to lop off a zero or two for me to be able to truly relate, but but I get it. Right. And in fact, they say heavy is the head that wears the crown, or you have to pay the cost to be the boss. And a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people, maybe they just hate on the person who seems to have the money and the power, but they don't understand that when money gets lost and the business is fumbling and a bunch of people have to be paid, sometimes as the boss, you get paid last. Like if you're the king might be the first person who gets to eat, but the king is also the first person who gets to die. Right. So effectively, just keep that in mind as you start businesses. You have to, it's almost something that does require a certain spiritual balance, a lot of emotional intelligence, a lot of focus and determination, maybe some therapy to just kind of balance it all out. and all that comes into play. So anyway, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And also, let me put a URL on the screen. If you want to join our Black investors group on Telegram, just go to drboycetelegram.com. That's our Black investors channel. Feel free to take a look at that. And also in the Black Business School, we have lots of free stuff. So if you'd like to just take a look at the Black Business School, feel free to go to theblackbusinessschool.com. All right, so we're talking about Tyler Perry and BET and the fact that Paramount is not selling BET, and some people think that was a lie all along. And what I'm going to do here really quick is answer a few questions that you guys have. So let's see. I'll respond to a couple comments. Someone says they need to invest in you to teach them how to build their own. Well, I honestly, to be honest with you, I'm not the guy to invest in. I think it's better that they participate. I think Tyler participates with the guys that Earn Your Leisure and InvestVest. They're a better fit for mainstream society. They're a better fit for the rappers and the entertainers. A lot of the rappers and entertainers know me, but I don't like that culture entirely. I have big problems with the promotion of bullshit in the Black community. I see, because I've seen too much. I've seen relatives hooked on drugs. My father was hooked on drugs. So when you promote drugs and you think it's funny, I don't think that's funny. I don't like ignorance. I want to see our people be intelligent. Some people think that makes me uppity. I don't like to see things that promote disrespect of women or financial irresponsibility. I want to challenge Black folks to be smarter, stronger, and tougher. Also, I don't fall in line behind the Democratic Party. I can't do that because I see that most cities run by Democrats are in the garbage. So I'm sort of in a unique sort of space where, I'm always happy to share information and to support them any way I can. But if something doesn't make sense to me, I can't go along with that. And I think that there are people that are a little hipper than me, a little bit of a better fit, and they still get a lot done. Like I think Earn Your Leisure does a great job of really connecting with a lot of people exactly where they are, connecting with the masses, and Tyler Perry participates with that. And I think that's good enough, right? I think that this space, I'd want this space to be free of too much influence from celebrities, because unfortunately, as Black people, especially those mainstream celebrities, they're a little bit too much in bed with white folks. They're a little bit too much in bed with the power structure. They're a little bit too connected and too addicted to that white man's money, that Asian man's money, that Jewish man's money, right? To the point where when you say, okay, we're all together, let's go to war, you're up here fighting with your sword out. They on the apology tour. Hey, boss, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say the anti-Semitic thing that I said. And you're like, what did you say that was anti-Semitic? Well, hey, I don't know why it's anti-Semitic, but they told me that it was. So I'm just gonna keep on apologizing so I don't lose my job. And I just really think that there's just sort of different spaces, and I think we can all contribute in different ways. And when they call me, I offer to help. Like Jaylen Brown, the guy who's playing for the Celtics, who said he wants to build a Black Wall Street with his money. I love it. I think it's awesome. Like I support that brother 100%. If he called me, I'd be like, here, don't pay me anything. Like just deploy the funds and I'll tell you what to do with it. That's what I told Kanye. I said, you have hundreds of millions of dollars, man. Do you know what you could do for the Black community if you took if you just took the money you spent on your kids' birthday parties and put that in the Black community? You could probably educate thousands of people. I could show you exactly what to do. I don't need to get a nickel of that money. I don't care. I don't need your money, right? And unfortunately, with celebrities, because they spend so much time in this strange space of Hollywood and away from the real culture, I think they get it a little bit backwards sometimes. I don't know if they are prepared to be courageous enough to really do the work that's required to make our people what we really need to be. So I'd prefer that instead of celebrities trying to jump out and get all the attention and take the lead, I think that they should find people in the community that are really 10 toes down with it, that are really ready to put their life on the line, ready to put their money on the line, ready to hustle and work and grind and all this other stuff, and who are spiritually in the right place, and just fund those individuals, give them financial support. Go to the Nation of Islam, where they're really building families, educating kids, doing the right thing. I spoke at the Muhammad University of Islam in Chicago. And do you understand how wonderful that school is? Do you understand that those 12-year-old children were asking me questions that were typically asked to me by graduate students? Like literally, not college students. They were smarter than college students. Some college students aren't that smart. The Muhammad University of Islam, run by the Nation of Islam, which gets no funding from the government that I'm aware of, literally educates children to the point where they're thinking like graduate students in the 6th grade, 7th grade. And they're sitting in the middle of the city of Chicago where the public school system gets billions of dollars to leave black children as dumb as possible. They get billions of dollars to dump our kids, your kids, my kids, our kids. They dump our kids out into the world with no preparation for success. And then you wonder why they end up dead, in prison, on dope, depressed, oppressed, and unhappy. Well, because you didn't prepare them for life. You didn't do any preventive maintenance. You didn't do anything necessary to make sure that that kid was going to have a chance to be successful. You have to do these things. If you don't do these things, then why are you so surprised when that black child fails when nobody poured anything good into that kid? This culture is jacked up. BET is jacked up. The BET Awards, I got a call from a rapper who is I'm not gonna say his name because I won't blow up his spot. He called me, he said, Doc, the BET Awards, I went to the BET Awards, it was a shit show. He said, man, it was horrible. It was ratchet as hell. And I'm just trying to figure out why we decided that everything black's got to be inferior, sloppy, ignorant, messy, destructive, toxic, and terrible. Who decided that black culture was supposed to be the worst culture? Oh, I know why. It's because BET is not owned by black people. BET is run by the Sumner Redstone family and Paramount and the Paramount team. And they don't care nearly as much about your kids as they care about their own. They will sell to your children and pour on your children things that would never be acceptable for their children. Are you okay with that? I'm not okay with that. That bothers me. That's not something I can sit back and sort of smile about. So let me finish this up. My wife is sick. I got to go take care of my wife. Do me a favor, by the way, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You can go to blackmoney101.com. I have a training program there called An Introduction to the Power of Money. It's literally years of material I put together that's extremely good. And this offer is great. It's 95% off. So feel free to sign up. You can share it with your family, your friends, whoever you want. And I guarantee it'll make a difference. Everything in the Black Business School comes with a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee if you're unhappy for any reason. So feel free to take a look at that. If you want to know why I do stuff like this, it's because I've been a finance professor for a long time. I've taught at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse University, the Ohio State University. I've also taught in China, Europe, Africa, South America, and basically the places that I've gone to, all the different cultures I've seen, makes me see our culture a little bit different, right? When I'm going to Europe and seeing how a society is run where you don't have hardly any homeless people, where most people are not obese, where everyone's properly educated, it teaches me some good things about socialism. When I go to China and I see little children that are just on code, learning AI at an early age, where the society invests in the future of their kids, teaches them to think like a group, I understand a little bit more about powernomics. When I go to Africa and I see how important family structure is and how family is a critical ingredient for the building of wealth, I understand why they deliberately dismantle your families, why they deliberately teach the black man to hate the black woman, why they deliberately teach black women to believe that you don't need your men. Because if you're divided and you hate each other and you're fighting each other, then both of y'all end up in the hands of massa. If you're divided, you're much easier to control, because the black woman's going to have to go work for massa in order to pay the bills and take care of them kids. The black man is either going to work for massa on the corporate plantation, or he's going to end up in the prison industrial complex where they might make more money off of him as a prison inmate than they would if he were actually a law-abiding citizen. So effectively, seeing all these different cultures that are succeeding in various areas makes me come back and look at our culture and say, man, what are we doing? What's happening here? And who's controlling this? Who's deciding that this is our culture? Well, it's BET, Paramount. So if you want to know why black culture is having so many problems, you have to ask, what do you think is going to happen when Paramount Pictures or Paramount Studios gets to do advertising for the BET Awards? They literally did this, where they said, this is the culture, this is the culture, this is the culture. So then people go back and they repeat this and say, we're doing this for the culture. Well, you have to be deep enough to say, well, whose culture are you talking about? What particular, what exactly? In fact, let's go deep real quick because I gotta go, but I gotta do this. All right, so let's look up the word culture. Okay, culture definition. All right. So if I look up the word culture, it says the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other group. Okay, interesting. The customs, okay, so customs, things that you habitually do, the arts, like music, dance, stuff like that, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. Culture is also deeply related to psychology. So entertainment has a huge impact on the subconscious mind, which is really where most of your processing happens. That's where most of your habits live. So if you look around and you see music videos where black people are calling themselves the N word in every other sentence, where black women are being told to sell their vaginas for $1.99, where the murder of black people is so common that you're not even alarmed by it anymore. You literally have turned yourself into a Klansman because you will sing and dance along to lyrics that talk about the murder of a black man, right? And it becomes my friend D1, who's a great hip hop artist, who's a really smart guy. And I'm so glad that he's going viral for his comments. He did an interview with another one of my good buddies, Willie D. Willie D was in the Ghetto Boys, and Willie's a good friend of mine. He was in my wedding. That's how close we are. And I saw my two friends doing this video that went mega viral, and D1 was talking about something called cognitive dissonance. And I said, thank God we've been able to inject this terminology into the culture. Thank God, because I've talked about it. And when I say it, people say, "Oh, you're being uppity. You're talking over people's heads." And I'm like, "Well, why do you think black people are supposed to be stupid? Maybe being stupid is not the best way to survive in a racist society that's just trying to kill you, right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all, right? But then I'd say, okay, all right. Let me figure out a way to say this so I don't scare people by making them think black people are allergic to long words. And cognitive dissonance is the perfect way to describe what you're looking at. He said, how in the world can you say Black Lives Matter, but you're rapping about murdering black people and you're okay with that? That doesn't make any sense. That's cognitive dissonance. That's a contradiction. That's hypocritical. That's insanity. That's weird. But sometimes when you see everybody else doing it and everybody else normalizing that kind of odd behavior, you think, oh, this must be normal because everybody else is doing it. Well, why is that? Well, because studies show that 70% of all people will follow the crowd even if the crowd is wrong. Cognitive dissonance, brainwashing, sheep like behavior, following the mob because you don't know who the hell you are. Why is that? Well, because in the public school system, they taught you to worship people like Benjamin Franklin, told you nothing about people like Marcus Garvey, and they do that because they want you to also become a white supremacist. You have joined the white supremacist gang. You are part of the racist mafia that oppresses black people in America. If you go along with this stuff, you're just as bad as the Klansmen because the things you do have far more impact than they would ever have if you were white. If you were white, then you calling a black person the N word would immediately draw a reaction. They wouldn't allow you to do it. But when you're black and you do it and you talk down on black women and you're talking bad about killing black people and you're spreading horrible, malicious, terrible behavior throughout your community, well, then it's going to get a pass because they're going to say, well, it can't be bad because a black person said it. So unfortunately, which I hate to see, is that a lot of our rappers and entertainers have become the perfect weapon. You become the perfect weapon for genocidal extermination of your own people. And a lot of this comes from the fact that you've been sanctioned and paid billions of dollars by big white corporations like Paramount to run around telling black people that this is the culture. Well, in this space, that those words have no power. This is not my culture. Hating black women is not my culture. Baby mama itis is not my culture. Ignorance is not my culture. Black self-destruction is not my culture. Being unhealthy and dying young is not my culture. Smoking weed until my lungs collapse is not my culture. Getting high on Molly and Percocet is not my culture. Wasting all my money is not my culture. Running around and being as ignorant as possible, that's not my culture. And I think that as black people, those of you who agree or hear what I'm saying, I encourage you to carry that flag and stop being scared. Stop trying to fit in. You do not want to fit in a culture that is leading people to self-destruction. That's my 2 cents, everybody. So I hope that Tyler or 50 Cent or whoever buys BET, I hope that they get it. It looks like they're not going to. And I'm not going to watch BET. I'm kind of done with BET. But this is what I see and this is what's going on. So anyway, take care, everybody. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for listening. drboycebooks.com. That's where you can get a copy of my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. Also, feel free to follow my Black Investors channel on Telegram. If you're into wealth and stuff like that, I know a lot about it. So feel free to go to drboycetelegram.com. That URL is on the screen. And then, of course, last but not least, you guys know the All Black National Convention is coming. It's going to be in Atlanta, October 20th through the 22nd at the Marriott Marquis Hotel. So if you are B1, if you are Black first and you like solutions, we're going to have super smart people there. We're going to have scientists there, doctors, lawyers, thinkers, all kinds of great people you can learn from, millionaire business owners. The Black Doctoral Network is also going to be in the building at the same time. That's the largest organization on the planet of Black PhDs. And this is going to be Black history. This is Black history because this is the first time that I know of at any point where you've had this many Black thinkers all together, funded independently, not sponsored by the government, not sponsored by a corporation, but funded independently to solve problems for the Black community. So not only will you think and grow, but you're going to have a lot of fun and you're going to connect and network with a lot of amazing people. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. If you have a Black-owned business and you want to market, or if you want to just attend, it's totally up to you. Allblacknationalconvention.com. So thank you all for listening. God bless you. I'm going to go check on my wife and I will see you guys a little bit later. Please have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.